Hey everyone, welcome to another Reaper blog video. Today we're going to look at different types of microphones that you'll use in your home studio. And before we get started, this video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with over 29,000 classes in art, design, photography, cinematography, cooking, productivity, pretty much any topic you can find a class there. This is one of my favorite places to go when I want to learn a new skill. Recently really enjoyed the productivity class from Thomas Frank. It's really helped me to get more organized on a day-to-day basis. And I recently found a bunch of classes from Trash Hand on street photography. I used to do a lot of street photography and I got out of it, just got busy and stuff, but I'm really excited to get back into it through his course. With the link in the description, you can get 2 free months of Skillshare Premium Access. And if you want to stay on for a year, it's only about $10 a month. Thank you, Skillshare, for sponsoring this video. So the first type of microphone we're going to talk about is the dynamic microphone, and this is the Shure SM57. This mic has been used on countless records. It's one of the most used microphones in the home studio, professional studio, and live. It's just all around one of the most used mics ever. And for good reason, because it's a very reliable, durable microphone. It has a great sound for certain instruments, and because it's been used on countless records, it really has a sound that everyone kind of likes. So this is a great microphone to put on a snare drum, on a guitar cabinet. There's a very similar microphone to this, also from Shure, the SM58. This is this is the instrument mic. This is the vocal mic version. Very similar design, and you see these most used for live sound. Again, a very durable mic, about the same price. These are roughly $100 or so, and some of the most used mics in the world. The way these mics work is by sound pressure hitting a diaphragm that is attached to a magnet. As the magnetic field changes through the vibrations on the diaphragm, that creates a voltage, goes down the microphone cable and into a preamp, and then into the audio interface and your computer. I own one other Shure microphone. This is the SM7B. Very common microphone for people doing voiceover, podcasts, and things like that. You've probably seen this a lot. It's a big, heavy microphone, great sound. And again, it's a very similar, in terms of technology, a very similar microphone to these. Obviously a very different shape, different way of constructing the microphone. And as a result, it sounds a little bit different. Next up, we have the condenser microphone, and this example is a side address condenser. You talk into the front of it, or you put the front of the microphone in front of a guitar cabinet or acoustic guitar. These are very sensitive microphones. The large diaphragm versions of these have a very flattering sound. They're very often used on vocals, on acoustic guitars, for drum overheads, not typically used very close to, let's say, a distorted guitar cabinet. A dynamic microphone is more suitable for that, but these are some of the most used mics besides the dynamic mics in the studio. They're a little more fragile. You need to be careful with them. They also require phantom power, which is provided by the microphone preamp to give the capsule power, which makes it operate. There's another type of side address condenser, and that is the tube condenser. So this is an Apex 460, very common, low-cost tube condenser. There's a vacuum tube inside. And instead of the phantom power provided by the mic preamp, it has its own big power supply. So the audio cables go in here. There's often a switch for setting the polar pattern. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later. And there's a special cable that goes out to the microphone. It's a 7-pin cable instead of a 3-pin cable. And then this requires its own power. Another design for condenser microphones is the pencil condenser, and instead of the side address where I'm talking into the side, like with this type of microphone, instead it's an end address similar to the dynamic microphones. So this microphone, you point its end at your sound source, and it picks up a very sort of flat, even response. The small size means that it fits into smaller areas where a larger microphone won't fit. It uses a different type and construction of capsules, which kind of changes the sound. Often these are very accurate, very crisp, clear transients, and sort of a brighter sound overall, where the side address condenser is often kind of very flattering for a voice. This might be a little too ruler flat or too bright sounding. This is a cardioid pattern, which means it's a heart shape around the front. It picks up sound mostly in the front and rejects it mostly from the rear. I have another type of pencil condenser or small diaphragm condenser, and that is like a measurement microphone. This is an omnidirectional, so it picks up sound evenly on all sides. It is a little bit more sensitive to high frequencies directly on, but you tend to use this more standing up and kind of capturing the sound of the room rather than pointed dead on to something. These are most used for acoustic guitars, for drum overheads, for spot mics around a drum kit, especially on like a hi-hat. If you want to capture a really detailed sound, especially with something with a lot of high frequencies, these tend to be a good choice for that. So there you go, different types of microphones that you'll find in a home studio. If you want any recommendations for different budgets, you can leave a comment down below and I'll try to help you out. You can find hundreds of microphones in each of these categories in each budget. So you don't have to worry about spending a ton of money because there's a lot of really great options out there right now. I'm not necessarily recommending all the ones that I've shown here because either they're not available anymore or there's better options. So just let me know if you need any specific recommendations. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Support the Reaper blog through Patreon and visit reaperblog.net for a lot more tutorials.